Hello students, today the topic of my lecture is patterns of international migration. Patterns of migratory movement have changed considerably over time. Already complex migration dynamics are further compounded by two main trends: increasing economic, political and cultural globalization and transnationalism in the migration process. Globalization and transnational migration have contributed not only to the volume but also to the patterns and forms of migration movement. Migration, which historically has been relatively unidirectional and permanent in nature, is now increasingly temporary and circular. Nationals of more countries are on the move and more countries are affected by migration than ever before. Now let us discuss the patterns of international migration one by one. International migrants by development group. Globally, there were 232 million international migrants in 2013. Of these, nearly 59% lived in the developed regions, while the developing regions hosted 41% of the world's total. Of the 136 million international migrants living in the north in 2013, 82 million or 60% originated from a developing country, while 54 million or 40% were born in north. Further, 82 million or 86% of the 96 million international migrants residing in the developing world in 2013 originated from the south, while 14 million or 14% were born in the north. Between 1990 and 2013, the number of international migrants worldwide rose by over 77 million or by 50%. Much of this growth occurred between 2000 and 2010. During this period, some 4.6 million migrants were added annually, compared to an average of 2 million per annum during the period 1990 to 2000, and 3.6 million per annum during the period 2010 to 2013. The developed regions gained 53 million or 69% of the 77 million international migrants added worldwide between 1990 and 2013. Whereas the developing regions added 24 million or 31%, while the north gained the largest absolute number of migrants between 1990 and 2013. Since 2000, the average annual growth rate in international migrant stock in the south outpaced the growth rate in the north, 2.3% per annum versus 2.1% per annum, respectively. Since 2010, the annual growth rates slowed in both the north and the south to 1.5% in the developed regions and 1.8% in the developing regions. Of the 53 million international migrants added in the north between 1990 and 2013, 42 million or 78% were born in the south. The remaining 12 million international migrants or 22% originated from a country in the north. In contrast, in the developing countries, the growth of the migrant population resulted mainly from an increase in the number of migrants from the south. Between 1990 and 2013, the migrant population originating from the south and living in the south grew from 59 million to 82 million. A 41% increase can be noted. Of the 24 million foreign-born persons added during this period, 99% were born in the developing regions, while 1% originated from a country in the north. Worldwide, international migrants accounted for a relatively small share of the total population, comprising about 3.2% of the world population in 2013, compared to 2.9% in 1990. In the north, international migrants constituted 10.8% of the total population in 2013, compared to 1.6% in developing regions. Between 1990 and 2013, international migrants as a share of total population grew in the north but remained unchanged in the south. Now let us discuss international migrants by major area. Europe and Asia combined hosted nearly two-thirds of all international migrants worldwide in 2013. 72 million international migrants in Europe and 71 million in Asia. Northern America hosted the third largest number of international migrants in 2013, that is 53 million, followed by Africa, that is 19 million, Latin America and the Caribbean, that is 9 million, and Oceania, that is 8 million. Between 1990 and 2013, Northern America recorded the largest gain in the absolute number of international migrants, adding 25 million migrants, equal to 1.1 million additional migrants per year. Of the 25 million international migrants added in Northern America during this period, 14 million or 57% were born in Latin America and the Caribbean. 9 million or 35% originated from Asia, while 1 million or 6% were born in Africa. Europe added the second largest number of international migrants between 1990 and 2013, that is 23 million or 1 million per year, followed by Asia, 21 million or slightly less than 1 million per year. Of the 23 million international migrants gained by Europe during this period, 43% were born in Europe, 22% in Asia, 18% in Africa, and 14% in Latin America and the Caribbean. For Asia, the pattern was less diversified, with 87% of the 21 million migrants gained by that major area between 1990 and 2013 originating from Asia, followed by Africa, that is 8%. While overall Northern America and Europe experienced the largest absolute growth in the number of international migrants between 1990 and 2013, since the year 2000, Asia added more international migrants than any other major area. Asia gained an average of 1.7 million international migrants per annum during the period 2000 and 2010, and an additional 1 million per annum during the period 2010 and 2013. Europe added the second largest number of international migrants during the period 2000 to 2013, with an average of 1.3 million international migrants added per annum during the period 2000 and 2010, and nearly 1.1 million during the period 2010 and 2013, the largest gain among all major areas. Northern America added the third largest number of international migrants since the year 2000. Yet, in Northern America, the absolute number of international migrants added each year continued to decline. During the period 2010 to 2013, Northern America added nearly half as many international migrants as during the period 2000-2010, an average of 0.6 million per annum compared to 1.1 million per annum. During the period 2000 to 2013, Northern America also added nearly half as many international migrants as Asia or Europe. In 2013, Asia was the largest migration corridor in the world, with some 54 million international migrants born in that major area residing in another country in Asia. During the period 2000 to 2010, The Asia corridor grew by an average of 1.5 million international migrants per year, a figure which fell to 0.8 million during the period 2010 to 2013. Europe was the second largest corridor during the period 2010 to 2013, with an average of 0.6 million international migrants per annum. The corridor Latin America and the Caribbean Northern America, which had been the largest during the period 1990 to 2000, with an average of 0.8 million international migrants per annum, steadily declined, falling to 0.3 million per annum during the period 2010 to 2013. During the period 2000 to 2013, the corridor Africa overtook Latin America and the Caribbean Northern America as the third largest international migration corridor in the world. In 2013, the majority of all migration occurred within major areas rather than across major areas. The majority of all international migrants residing in Africa, that is 82%, Asia 76%, Europe 52%, and Latin America and the Caribbean 64% were also born in that major area. In contrast, only 2% and 14% of all international migrants in Northern America and Oceania had migrated within their major area of birth respectively. In Europe, Northern America and Oceania, the share of migrants in total population grew rapidly, while in Africa, Asia and Latin America and the Caribbean, the share of international migrants in total population remained relatively small. Oceania, the major area with the highest share of international migrant stock in total population, saw this figure climb from 70% in 1990 to 21% in 2013. In Northern America, the proportion of international migrants in total population reached 15% in 2013, up from 10% in 1990, while in Europe it rose from 7% in 1990 to 10% in 2013. In 2013, Latin America and the Caribbean had the lowest proportion of international migrants in total population, that is 1.4%, followed by Asia and Africa, that is 1.6% and 1.7% respectively. Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean both experienced a decline in the share of international migrants in their total population between 1990 and 2013, in part owing to the fact that the overall population increased more rapidly than the total migrant stock. Now we move to international migrants by country or area. In 2013, over 51% of all international migrants in the world were living in 10 countries. The largest number of international migrants resided in the United States of America, 46 million in 2013, equal to nearly 20% of the world's total. The Russian Federation hosted the second largest number of migrants worldwide, that is 11 million, followed by Germany 10 million, Saudi Arabia 9 million, and the United Arab Emirates and the United Kingdom 8 million each between 1990 and 2013. The size of the international migrant stock grew in nearly 3/4 of all countries or areas. The United States of America gained the largest number of international migrants between 1990 and 2013, nearly 23 million, equal to 1 million additional migrants per annum. The UAE recorded the second largest gain during the period, that is 7 million, followed by Spain, that is 6 million. Yet all 10 countries with the largest gains in their migrant stock between 1990 and 2013 witnessed a declaration in their annual growth rate between 2010 and 2013, compared to the period 2000 to 2010. Bilateral migration corridors shifted significantly between 1990 and 2013. During the period 1990 to 2000, 7 of the top 10 bilateral migration corridors had as destination a country in the north. The United States was the destination of 5 of the top 10 bilateral migration corridors in the world, with large numbers of international migrants originating from China, India, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Vietnam. Mexico, United States was the largest bilateral migration corridor in the world, with nearly 5 lakh international migrants born in Mexico added to the population of the United States each year. 2 of the 10 largest bilateral migration corridors during the period 1990 to 2000 had as destination a country in Europe, Germany, while 3 were between countries in Asia, namely between India and the UAE, Myanmar and Thailand, and the state of Palestine and Jordan. During the period 2000 to 2010, the top 10 bilateral migration corridors were equally split, with 5 corridors having the destination a country in the south and 5 corridors a destination in the north. Mexico, United States continued to be the largest bilateral migration corridor in the world, but with much smaller numbers than during the period 1990 to 2000. An average of 260,000 additional international migrants per year. Countries in southern Europe, namely Italy and Spain, also became major destinations of international migrants from countries in Eastern Europe. In addition, 3 of the top 10 corridors were between a country in Southern Asia and an oil-producing country in Western Asia, namely Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia, Bangladesh, UAE, and India, UAE. Refugees displaced by the war in Iraq, as well as the refugees falling under the mandate of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, accounted for large numbers of migrants during the period 2000 to 2010 in Western Asia. By the period 2010 to 2013, migration patterns had changed significantly, and all but 3 of the largest migration corridors in the world had as a destination a country in the south. Of the 3 bilateral migration corridors that had as a destination a country in the north, 2 were between countries in Europe, Romania, Italy, and Poland, United Kingdom. Only one of the 10 largest bilateral migration corridors during the period 2010 and 2013 was between a country in the south and a country in the north, namely Mexico, United States. Of the 7 largest migration corridors which had as a destination a country in south, 5 were between countries in Asia, including the corridors China, Republic of Korea, and Cambodia, Thailand, while 2 were between countries in Africa, namely Sudan, South Sudan, and Somalia, Kenya. Both the corridor Sudan, South Sudan, and the corridor Somalia, Kenya involved large numbers of refugees. In 2013, international migrants accounted for at least 1 in every 4 people in 42 countries or areas. These included small island states in the Caribbean, Melanesia, Micronesia, or Polynesia, as well countries in Western Asia. In contrast, in many countries of Africa, Eastern Asia, South America, and Southern Asia, migrants accounted for less than 5% of the total population. Now we move to international migrants by age and sex. In 2013, 3/4 of all international migrants were of between the ages of 20 and 64. Of the 171 million international migrants of working age, the majority, that is 61%, resided in the developed regions, while the North hosted the largest number of working age migrants in 2013. The number of working age migrants grew faster in the South than in the North. In the South, the number of migrants of working age increased from 46 million in 2000 to 67 in 2013, a 44% increase compared to the North, where it rose from 76 million in 2000 to 104 million in 2013, a 37% increase. Women accounted for around half of the increase in the North, that is 52%, compared to one-third of the increase in the South, that is 33%. Globally, 15% of all international migrants were under the age of 20. The proportion of young migrants was significantly higher in the developing regions, that is 23%, than in the developed regions, that is less than 10%. There were about 3 times as many migrants under 5 years of age living in the South as in the North. Between 1990 and 2013, the proportion of young persons among all migrants declined. The proportion of those under age 20 declined from 21% in 1990 to 18% in 2000 and further to 15% in 2010. Globally, there were 25 million international migrants aged 65 or over in 2013. The majority of older migrants lived in the North, with over 2 times as many migrants at ages 65 or above living in the North as in the South. Between 1990 and 2013, the number of older migrants grew significantly in the North, but changed only slightly in the South. The developed regions gained 98% of the 7 million older international migrants added worldwide between 1990 and 2013. The fact that many countries in the developed regions had long been magnets of immigration, combined with a greater propensity among international migrants living in the developing world to return to their countries of origin, were among the reasons for the rising numbers of older migrants residing in the developed regions compared to the developing regions. The proportion of older migrants was higher for women, that is 13%, than for men, that is 9%. 56% of elderly migrants in 2013 were women. In the developed regions, 57% of all migrants aged 65 or over were females, compared to 52% in the developing regions. Now we come to the conclusion of this lecture. While migration remains largely within the sovereign domain of countries, one of the most notable trends in international migration is the growing recognition of the need to develop comprehensive and cooperative approaches to migration management at the regional and international levels. More and more countries are seeing that the international cooperation is needed to effectively address migration, which is by its very nature international in scope. Equally, they recognize that it is not sufficient to address aspects of international migration in isolation. They must be brought together within a comprehensive framework. Well, with this, we come to the end of today's lecture. Thank you very much.